Welcome to our next lesson in our Statistics for Trading course. This lesson is a reports lesson, and we're going to break our reports into multiple lessons. The purpose of this lesson is to help you understand our range reports, both our 30-minute range reports and our daily range reports. Looking at a statistical history of ranges can help us to think in probabilities and affect the way that we trade on a day-to-day basis. So let's get started. As mentioned, this lesson will handle our 30-minute reports and our daily range reports. Just something that we want to make note of is that all the reports are published in Eastern Standard Time. And on many of the reports, you'll see a range, a days back or a days column. Now those are calendar days, not trading days. And that's an important thing to remember because it can affect how many records are in the data set. So just remember that. We're going to touch on that a bit in some of our reports. So let's take a look at our 30-minute range reports. Now, one thing that our reports all have in common is the as of date. So that as of date is effectively where the reports start from a point zero and then they count backwards. Like for instance, you see here minus 30 days, minus 90 days, minus 180 days, minus 365 days in the first column. That's as of 2/26, or that's a very recent report. So when you look at the 12:30 a.m. time frame, you see the median range as of 30 days prior to 2/26 is basically how that goes. One thing of note too is that the days back, the minus 30 days, for instance, include the as of date. So I guess you could say that's day one. Now we're not going to spend a lot of time on our 30-minute range reports because in our three previous lessons, the Inside PP, the EPP, and the CIPP lessons, we went into it in quite a bit of detail what those various statistics mean. Now let's look at our columns here. Our period ending column we covered in previous lessons, like 12:30 a.m. is the period of 12 a.m. to 12:30. Then we have our various range columns, our median, our average, our minimum, our maximum. Now when you're trading, I would imagine most traders use either the median or the average because that takes the middle of the record set or the average of the record set and lets you know what the range is on those bases. Now why do we include the minimum and the maximum column? Well, they kind of give us an idea of what potentially has happened or could happen during this period. So if we look at this 12:30, we see a usual range between 3.75 and 4.5. Pretty consistent there for the past year. But if you look at the minimum, it's been as low as 0, meaning no action during that period or no movement, and as high as 44.25. So at some point we had some real volatility during the midnight to 12:30 Eastern time range. But in the last month, we see that it went as high as 11.5. So now those minimum and maximums likely only happened one time. And when if you have a lot of heavy ones, like where it happened 10, 11, a lot, that can affect your average, or a lot on the low end, that can affect your average. But if you take your middle record sets, that means where things have sort of traveled. Well, that's what median is. It'd be right in the middle there of that record set. So, but it's not just you take the high and the low and you divide by 2. It's actually the middle record sets, either 1 or 2 records in the middle that are averaged together. So, so that's why that's a median and average are probably a little bit better gauges of what to expect. Now, we publish our statistics over each weekend. So we do this after Friday's close, and usually they're available sometime Saturday morning. But of course, we get them ready before you start trading on Monday. But as mentioned, normally they're available sometime Saturday morning. Now, we do break our 30-minute range reports into two different ways. One is that we do it all days combined. And then that was shown on the previous report. Um, Now, this report shows only for Friday, for instance. Now, there are some traders who only trade on specific days, and it can be appreciated that they like to know what happens on that given day. Now, this is one area where we have to be careful, as mentioned earlier. Now, when you talk about a 30 days of Fridays, that's only 4 or potentially some day times 5 Fridays, whereas the all days combined would be a record set of at least 20 days. So your record sets are a lot smaller, really at 1/5 of the size. So when looking at trading on a per day basis, when you're looking at some of the statistics, just keep that in mind. You might decide you're going to look longer out, like 3 months, 6 months, or the whole year to see what the tendency is on any given day. So you can actually use both reports together so that you can kind of get an idea of what happens on any given day. And perhaps you trade different markets on different days, and these reports can help you to make such decisions, as well as when we start looking at our daily range reports as well. Now let's move on to our daily range reports. So now we're going to consider our daily range reports. Now you may wonder, well, how can really knowing the daily range help me? Well, knowing the daily ranges can help you get to know a market. So if you're considering what markets to trade, and they can help you to get to know perhaps even what market to trade and when to trade it. Probably knowing the range report, the daily ranges are probably not going to influence every trade, but it could influence your trading overall. If you're a scalper, for instance, you may at times let a contract run. Knowing where you are in the daily range can help you decide if the probabilities are in your favor. And depending on what kind of trader you are, they may even influence your decision to stop trading for the day, or even which market you trade on which days, or on any kind of given day-to-day basis. So although they may not affect every single trade, they certainly can affect your overall trading. Now, just like our 30-minute ranges, we break our daily ranges into two different reports. We break them into a all days combined, and then we break it down by a summary. I'm sorry, we do a summary of all days combined, and then we break it down by day of the week. Now, this report here that you see is showing you both. At the top, we have the summary, all days combined, and at the bottom, we see it broken down by day of the week. Now, if you like, you can just we have a separate report that just shows the summaries here. So these can be very helpful. Now, let's draw attention to the top here. Now, we break our daily range reports into three different categories here. The overnight range, the RTH range, which is the regular trading hours, and then the full Globex range. And we define what those ranges are, what our statistics are based on above. So in this case, crude oil runs from the overnight session, opens at 6 p.m. and runs to 9 a.m. The regular trading session, or what some call the cash market, or the pit session, is 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And then the full range is 6 p.m. to 5 p.m., 23 hours. So let's take a look at this report here. We see it broken down average, median, minimum, and max for each one of those. Now, another benefit of breaking it down this way is if you look at overnight range, for instance, you may see on a day-to-day basis, let's just say you're getting to know a market and you realize that any given market, when it has a small overnight range, is a predictor of perhaps a slower opening. Or if you have a market conversely that is very volatile overnight, you expect a volatile opening or a larger range during the RTH session or things like that. You kind of get to know these things about your market, and this is very helpful to know these things and breaking it down this way. Now, if you use a daily bar somewhere on your screen, just be conscious of the fact that different platforms may draw that bar differently. For instance, if you're a NinjaTrader user, NinjaTrader's daily bar uses the RTH session. NinjaTrader 7, that is. Whereas NinjaTrader 8 uses the ETH, or the extended trading hours, or what we call the full Globex range. So know what your platform displays, because some traders like to have a daily range chart, a daily bar chart somewhere in their trading screen. So just make sure, if you're using that to take a look at ranges and things like that, just make sure you know how your platform displays that. Now here's another look at our combined report here. So at the top you see all days combined, and then you see it listed out by day of the week. Now this can be useful on one page to see, generally speaking, which days behave differently. And if you're picking your market, or you're deciding what markets to trade on which days, currently we're publishing, I think it is 9 different markets. And now that may change from time to time, but these reports can help you decide, oh, well, perhaps a different market is more advisable on this day, or it can affect the way your attitude is to the market, whether you're aggressive or on certain days, things like that. That most of us know that with crude oil, for instance, Wednesday is the oil report comes out, and there's some caution there, and you might look at the ranges for Wednesdays and make decisions based on that. This concludes our range reports lesson. I hope you found it informative. Thinking in probabilities can help you be a better trader, and statistics provide the basis for this kind of thinking. Here at statsfortrading.com, we believe that knowledge is power and that you should never take the trader out of the trade. If you found this video to be helpful, please like it and subscribe to our channel. And if you have not already subscribed to our statistics, please consider subscribing to them at statsfortrading.com. Thank you for watching.